Alright, so Team Gigantti is running the so-called dive, but they have Soldier instead of Genji. So they're running dive, but they only have Treasure as the flank DPS or the quick DPS. And it seems to me that, yeah, they're actually running mirror comps. So they've got the exact same setup, both teams. So this is interesting. I haven't seen this comp in a long time. Soldier hasn't been part of dive for a long time. It's partly because Soldier is pretty easy to deal with, and you can just like dive on top of the Soldier and he's gonna struggle doing anything. But yeah, we're running... No, we're not running mirrors, what the hell. So we have actually a Genji on the other team. Is this right? Like they're running only one tank. Look, British Hurricane is only running one tank. Yeah, this is actually something that I didn't realize. So they only have Winston and no Diva. So this is very, very interesting, because if you don't have a Diva, it's going to force you to play defensively, because your Winston can't survive alone. So he's going to have to play defensively. And so British Hurricanes is probably gonna play like more in the back and try to create space for the Soldier, and they want Gigantti to dive to them because they don't have a Diva, because Winston without Diva is a dead Winston. If he goes away from his team, he's going to be dead without Diva. So this is something to look for. Like they don't have a second tank.
And RCK coming out on the Diva. It's going to be a lot of damage to kind of heal up, and with Ripper and Meza being also aggressive up on that sideline, they're going to have to pull back now as Neil does get executed.
Soldier is dead, your main damage is dead, you gotta get out.
First, Craggy making his way into the back.
I don't know why Cloudy and people are staying here. You should just go back. Your Soldier is dead, you gotta go back.
Himself, a very unhappy Cloudy, as he does end up just making the jump. If you clip yourself on those stairs, though, I've had it many a time where you just kind of fall flat, and he would have been able to take care of you. Triple DPS working them out so far. They should be able to cap the point fairly easily. No real contention.
Right, so that was fast. It seems like they regrouped really fast. It's probably because Soldier is super fast. So they come back.
So far, they should be able to cap the point fairly easily.
And they start to dive the backline. Fair enough.
No real contention, although Gigantti comes straight back in, abusing the fact that British Hurricane had to play around the point for the time being.
Cloudy gets picked.
Out of sight, out of mind, was out of the way of his supports and ends up getting taken down. Craggy even behind the mech on RCK. Craggy is, however,
and Diva dies. Lucio jumps off the map. Yeah, okay, so what happened there? It was super fast. Like you need to watch this several times if you want to crack it. What happened? So Gigantti comes like with full speed. They got like their gas pedal on the ground. Okay, here we can see what's going on. So Team Gigantti came from here, and their tanks are jumping together. That's correct. There's Zen and Genji are on the back, or wait, that's Lucio. Okay, so Lucio and Genji are together, and Zen is on the back. So this is correct. And you see the enemy team is still on the point. They actually didn't realize, okay, they're coming super fast. So this was an opening to go to the backline. So Gigantti had it right. But what you need to realize is that Gigantti has to dive a certain target. Like they're running the so-called traditional. They actually switched off. I forgot to tell you, but they've switched off the Soldier to Genji. So now they have the traditional dive, and British Hurricane is still running the Soldier with one tank. So it's really important for Team Gigantti to pull off a good dive to the enemy squishies, and it has to be a specific squishy. Because if you look at the British Hurricane's comp, they have only Soldier, Zen, and maybe Winston. Like those are the 3 targets you can kill. Because you're not gonna kill Treasure. Treasure's gonna play all the way back. You're not gonna kill Lucio. Lucio's gonna just ride the walls and spook people away. You're not gonna kill Lucio. And Genji's, well, you can kill Genji, but it's not reliable. Like you can't jump on top of Genji and hope he dies. He's just gonna dash away. So you can only kill so many targets in here, and you gotta kill one of these 3. And I would recommend to dive the Soldier, because if you don't deal with the Soldier, you're gonna give him a lot of space, and Soldier can do way more damage than Treasure or Genji can, especially what Genji can. So you gotta deal with the Soldier ASAP. So what happens here is that Team Gigantti dives in. It looks like it's a good dive, but I think because Lucio and Genji players are too far back, they're not gonna make it. Like Genji can only dash like this much. Like this is the distance Genji can dash. So you gotta have Genji at the front line if you wanna dive fast. Like here, and this is actually I see another problem here. If you look at Cloudy's HP, Winston player's HP, he's 50%. He has lost his armor, and he is 50% HP while he's jumping. It's a dead Winston if you jump on top of a good player with 50% HP. So you need to. With dive, it's essential. It's absolutely essential that you get to the diving target alive. Like you can't give any like loose when you're diving. You gotta be fully HP'd and you gotta dive together. Now, okay, you're diving together. Maybe the Genji could be a little bit forward with the Lucio, but Cloudy is already 50% HP. He's gonna die. It's winnable. Like even if Winston dies and you trade off to the Soldier, it's probably winnable. But I'm just saying that if you want to dive successfully, you need to have everybody at full HP and their cooldowns reset.
A real contention, although Gigantti comes straight back in.
Yeah, so
the fact that British Hurricane had to play around the point
Cloudy gets pooped and he's dead.
Out of sight, out of mind, was out of the way of his supports and ends up getting taken.
When the Winston dies, so D.Va follows. Like that's how it goes.
Take it down. Craggy even find the mech on RCK. Craggy is, however, forced to
it's a lost fight.
He's got Davin inside, but the rest of his team are there. And this is exactly what I wanted to see from Craggy, Jaws. He's playing around with his team.
For some reason, my hands are freaking freezing.
There's more reliable DPS from the Tracer. Not much of a solo operator, and he doesn't need to be because the other DPS are picking up the slack that may be there. But now, Team Gigantti, they need to batten down the hatches and weather the...
Okay, this is tricky. Like, this map is really tricky, and I'm gonna tell you why. I hate to dive in this map, particularly in this map, because it's so hard to get to the other side. Like, you see how Gigantti comes. Gigantti comes from the main entrance here, and they go to the right, and they come out of here, and they try to get to the high ground. Because you cannot, if you're here, like, you're gonna get poked. Like, the enemy team's just gonna poke the hell out of you. Like, they're gonna poke you with everything they have, and they're gonna make your diving harder because they're gonna force you to wait until you have health. So this map is hard to dive because you need to get to this position, like this place, before you can dive. It's simply because Winston and D.Va and Genji and, well, those three players can only jump so far. Like Winston, if he's here, he can jump to here. But there's no way that he can jump all the way to the other side. That it's not possible. So you need to be thinking of how are you going to get to the place where you need to be, and that is where the Soldier is. And I'm guessing, like, if we would flip the camera around and this would be British Hurricane's side, their Soldier is probably gonna be there, or well, he's gonna be all the way back because Soldier can do damage with little damage drop off, and he can just blast you all the way from the other side. And if you want to make it to the Soldier, you need to find a way to get to him. And I know that this is the problem that Gigantti is struggling with here.
The storm because British Hurricane.
Okay, so this time they actually took my advice. Like they knew what I was talking about, or, well, they didn't hear what I said, but they knew that that was the issue. So this time Cloudy turns to the left, to the right, to the mega health pack, because he was already at 80% health. And so they pretty much like instantly solved what was the mistake on the first dive. Cloudy was already 50% HP.
Accruing
their percentage. They are brewing up some strong wins, and they're ready.
All right, now this is good. Like, this is good diving. Like, now they have their cooldowns. Cloudy is, well, he's 80% because Craggy is just blasting him with this rifle. RCK could do a little better job at defense matrix in this, but maybe he wants to save it until they're actually diving. They could have a little bit better discipline, so that they actually, you see this in Overwatch League, by the way, because the teams there they have greater discipline. So previously when the Cloudy went here, so the Winston player went here to get like his cooldown and to be out of line of sight, you can just wait here. You can just wait here until you have your cooldowns, until all of you are ready, and when you're all ready, you're still gonna be here, and you're gonna be like, guys, are you ready? You're gonna be like in the comms, like, guys, are you ready? Kids, can we go? And then you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm ready. We're gonna get 3 yeses on the ready, and then we're gonna be like 3, 2, 1, go. So this is a little bit of lack of discipline because Cloudy is already here and RCK is nowhere near. So you could have done this better, but it's all right. So Cloudy is already here. He's 60% health. He's lost his armor, and RCK is not there. Now RCK is there. Cloudy is dead. So it's not huge. It's honestly it's little things. Like they executed all their like shot calling was right. They fixed the issue that they did, but it was little things, and good players punished those little things. Like Cloudy jumps, and he was already at 60% when he landed. It's a dead Winston. You need to have Winston and D.Va diving together with defense metrics, because you need Winston alive.
Nice bomb actually on the floor.
And actually, if RCK was like with Cloudy at that moment, defense matrixing like he should be, he could have actually eaten that pulse.
This is a signal LH Cloudy going back to spawn.
It's a lost fight again because you lost D.Va mech and you lost Winston.
Winston and a Tracer on your back line. It's a complete team wipe and a reset from David as he jumps off the edge. Funny Astro will make sure he gets the boot to add another kill to his score.
And give himself a little bit of extra ult charge. He has earned that sound barrier. He's going to be ready to receive nil with a Dragon Blade. When it comes, I imagine we may well see a little bit of staggering support ultimate here. Funny Astro may try to counter Davin's pulse from here with that sound barrier. It's very good at mitigating burst damage, whereas you'd be more likely to see the Transcendence.
Okay, so this time they go the same route. This time Craggy is poking a little bit further. The reason for this is probably that they want to force ults. And actually I should have gone over the ults before we... yeah, so... ultimate economy is super important at this level of gameplay. So if you look at Team Gigantti's ults, they have Davin's Pulse, Ripa's Trance, and then they have like all the other ults are pretty close. But they only have those 2 ults. Then Hurricane has Winston ult, Soldier ult, Sound Barrier, and pretty close to Trance. Alright, so the ult advantage is heavily towards Hurricane, which is pretty like self-evident because they have won the fights so far. And what this ult economy actually tells you is that British Hurricane can like, they have more freedom. They probably know that Ripa has Trance, so what they want to do is they want to bait the Zen ult, because Zen ult, like Transcendence, is super strong and it can counter, for example, Soldier ult, so it can counter Hafikul's ult, it can counter Genji's ult, and in general it's a really good defensive ult. So what they want to do is they want to bait out the strongest ult that they have. So they're gonna be trying to poke Ripa into using his Trance. And if they get him to use the Trance, that means that British Hurricane can use their, like, let's say, Tac Visor or Genji Blade.
Dragon Blade when it comes. I imagine we may well see a little bit of staggering support ultimates here. Funny Astro may try to counter Davin's Pulse Bomb here with that Sound Barrier. It's very good at mitigating.
Right, so Craggy is holding really far. He's trying to do what I just said. So he's trying to poke and find out if they can kill the Zen. But actually, Gigantti is doing a very good job themselves. Like they're trying to force the Zen ult. Like if you see Box health, he's like virtually dead.
Burst damage, whereas you'd be more.
But they failed to kill him. Like that was really close. If they would have killed him, that would have changed like everything. But now Craggy has found Ripa.
To see the Transcendence.
And Ripa uses his ult like they planned.
Coming out from Bok, and Ripa's going to open.
And Bok actually used his ult as well. So that was probably why he got his health back. So Team Gigantti actually succeeded in doing the same thing. Both of the teams managed to lure the Zen ult.
Mitigating burst damage, whereas you'd be more likely
yeah,
to
that's what happens. Like they both do it at the same time.
Transcendence coming out from Bok, and Ripa's going to open up his as well. Craggy's going to be in the front line. A perfectly layered support ult gives them so much HP to work with. This.
But the thing is that British Hurricane, like I said earlier, or how we came up earlier, is that British Hurricane had ult advantage. And even though they traded the Zen ults, British Hurricane had played. Cube already, like he was like 80% or 85% before the fight. He got the remainders of the percentage. And now that the Zen ult is out of the way, he can just freely play it. And that's what happens. And Team Gigantti has nothing to really counter this. There's two ways you can counter it. Like here you can see the angry blade. This is the stuff that kills you, like that one. So two things that can counter that blade is a defensive ult, so either of these, or if you're a good Winston and Cloudy is, he can use his Primal Rage and just boop Genji around, because when Genji blades, he dashes, then if you boop him away, he can't reach anyone. So Cloudy didn't have his ults and they didn't have any defensive ults, so Genji gets a free blade and wipes the whole team.
Sound barrier hit the floor as well. Ripa pays the price, and they are just cutting through them. RTK loses his mech, even Kiev finishing him off as soon as he ejects out of it. Craggy playing up against their spawn doors right now. He knows he's got another pulse bomb, another complete team wipe from British Hurricane. Gigantti.
Korianderi pysyy linjoilla, niin näet.
They need to show up, and they need to show up fast. 90% now for Hurricane.
Shades of August and hungry, but Craggy using that health pack to his advantage. He's being a bit of a distraction here. Team Gigantti needs to get all of their...
That's actually a really good pulse by Davin. Like, if you watch at the percentages, like, it's 93 versus 0. And this percentage is straight, like, it's in relation to time. Yeah, sure, it's percentage, but you get 1% every second. So you have 7 seconds time to get to the site. Because if you don't make it to the site, the overtime doesn't pop up. So Davin tries to go for a hero moment. He's got an ult. He can make a difference. He tries to go and get a pulse.
Being a bit of a distraction here, Team Gigantti need to get all of
and he gets it. He actually almost gets the Zen as well. Like the soldier is running towards the Zen. But the soldier stops and the Zen goes away, and the soldier only dies to it. So now it's really like you have 3 seconds. Can you make it? Okay, somebody made it. And that's actually quite unlucky what happened there. So David made a huge play. Like we went over this. Like David gets a huge play. Now the match is 5 versus 6 or 6 versus 5 in favor of Gigantti. So now you have to have clear comms on are you gonna make it to the point, and somebody did make it to the point. So once you have the information that you made it to the point, you actually need to chill, because you have like 5 seconds time to make it to the point again. Like you only need to touch it and then you get an overtime, and I'm not sure how long it is like exactly, but I think it's like 5 seconds. So here you can see what happens. Neil tries to pull off a Davin. He summons his blade and tries to make a big play to win the game. But what they should have done is they should have gone with the team, because their Lucia, for example, is all the way back here. Masa is here. I believe their Zen is all the way, like, even further back. They could have actually changed Zen to Moira, by the way, because Moira is more mobile, and they didn't have ult, so I think they should have switched to Moira at this point. But they stick to Zen. Their healers are all the way back, and Genji tries to go with the Hail Mary play. And I'd say that because they knew, or maybe they didn't know, but because they made it to the point, they got the overtime, they should have just regrouped and went together. Because their Lucio is not here, their Zen is not here. I'm not even sure. Needle probably doesn't even have a healing orb on him.
LH Cloudy coming in with a primal rage, but Dan's going to be the one to open it up.
Nil died to a funny Astro of all people as he was using that Dragon Blade. The bomb does miss from Craggy, and the beat's been dropped by Team Gigantti. All 5 members have been here, but RCK gets instantly ejected from the mech. Instant self-destruct, though, will make sure he's able to re-get back in it. LH Cloudy, meanwhile, kills off KYB.
But it turns out that the bold gameplay actually probably won them the match. Oh, the team fight.
The bomb does miss from Craggy, and the beat's been dropped by Team Gigantti. All 5 members have been here, but RCK gets instantly ejected from the mech. Instant self-destruct, though, will make sure he's able to re-get back in it. LH Cloudy, meanwhile, kills off KYB, who was in the back lines. Couldn't really do all too much, not without his supports helping him. Happy Cool manages to take out
Seems like they're getting the cap.
Here, 99%
yeah, and they're
going into overtime.
Okay, so that was actually quite interesting. Like, even though the Genji ult got fucked over, they still managed to get to the point with the sound barrier. And with the sound barrier, they all made it to the point and forced off British Hurricane, because they didn't have the soldier. It was all because of Davin. Like, Davin got the juicy bomb and got Hafikul killed. So that's why they didn't have the raw damage, and they didn't have the survivability to deal with the push.
Happy Cool manages to take out Ripper in the end, but a complete...
So even though Neil kind of fucked up the Genji ult, they managed to win it, but now it's gonna be tricky because they don't have a Genji ult, they don't have a sound barrier, Ripa is dead, and all they really have close is Davin's ult. And if you look at British Hurricane, they are ahead of the important ults. They almost have a blade, and their sound barrier is like 40% ahead of Masa.
Here, 99%
So it's gonna be tricky. You actually need to... Team Gigantti now needs to win a clean fight without ults. Or if you're using ult, it's gotta be like Davin's ult.
Disengaged quite effectively there. No one managed to pick him up. He used his shield very intelligently, and that means Team Gigantti have got the flip. But now absolute perfection is demanded from the...
Okay, so what's happening is that Team Gigantti is falling back. I think this is bad. Like, this is probably a mistake that they made. But I see what they tried to accomplish here. Because they lost... Ripa was dead. So that means that their... well... Kinda like a main support died. I know Zenyatta can't be a main support, but he is really important in the dive. He's a main support in a sense that it's hard to dive if you don't have healing orb and discord orb. So they fall back to wait for Ripa, but the problem here is that they're giving all the space in the world. Like you're watching the soldier point of view. And if you give the soldier a lot of space, he's gonna make your life miserable. And this place where soldier is, they can't get here. Like, if you look at the point now, Gigantti can't even go to the point. They're gonna die if they go to the point. They need to deal with the soldier now. And if they don't deal with the soldier, they're gonna lose, because they don't, like, Gigantti doesn't have the damage, they don't have the ults. They can't deal with the soldier damaging them So they need to dive him.
They can build themselves up an ult bank and force Team Gigantti to use.
Okay, so they're doing it. Like you can see, they're trying to get the soldier.
To win every single fight because they don't have any.
And they actually do it good.
Bokken and Ripper.
They take the space away and they kill the squishes.
Tracer and Zen end up biting the dust.
Even though they didn't kill the soldier, they got his space away, so he needs to run away, and they killed some of the other targets.
To his name though. And something we speak about LH Cloud is he did remind me as he popped up on the kill feed there. The only one actually to go down in that engagement from Gigantti is
now the ult economy is pretty even because Ripa
Reinhardt is also spectacular, but wins.
Hello. So Ripa has his ult, and British Hurricane has both of their like stronger DPS ults. So this is gonna be tricky because Zen can counter any of these, like either soldiers or Genji's ult. Yeah, that's a fact. But you probably can't do both because what British Hurricane is probably gonna do is that they're gonna pop one and force the Ripa's ult. And they're gonna wait until it's over and then they're gonna use the other one. And it looks like Masa is probably not going to be able to carry his ult. So the ult economy, even though it looks a bit 50-50, it's not because British Hurricane has stronger ults. And British Hurricane can actually initiate with a barrier, sound barrier. So this is tricky. I'd say that the odds are in favor of the British people here.
It's been rather lackluster over the last couple of weeks, especially in these dive compositions. Sometimes puts himself out of sight of his support.
Alright, so they took the high ground and now they're forcing their treasure is on the point. And their treasure is on the point, so that forces Team Gigantti to turn around and deal with it. And this is hard. This is gonna be hard now because this is what British Hurricane wants them to do. Like we went over in the beginning of this video, is that British Hurricane is running one tank, so they want the fight to come to them because they can't dive with one tank. So what's gonna happen here is that Team Gigantti is gonna come and try to take the space again, but they're probably gonna get overrun by the Soldier and Genji ults.
Very hard for the Lucio to heal him, even the Zenyatta. He doesn't have that.
Okay, so they popped sound barrier, and I would assume, yeah. So Tech Visor immediately gets popped. So that gives Soldier time because sound barrier, it doesn't last for long, but it lasts long enough so that he can stay in the position where he needs to stay. So this is gonna force Ripa probably to use his trance. Let's see.
Down, or at least Hurricane will.
Yeah, there's the trance. And even when they used trance, they lost Cloudy. Like that could have probably you could have probably played that better. Even considering that Cloudy got booped down. Like that shouldn't happen to Winston. If you're positioned wrong, if you die to boops. And now it looks downhill to me because they used trance, so. And it actually looks like British Hurricane used their trance as well. Pardon me. So what's gonna happen here is that it's gonna be impossible for any of the teams to get kills, and then they're gonna use Blade and wipe the team. Like British Hurricane is gonna pop up the Blade. It's like the deadly Blade and just kill everyone. That's how I see it. Okay, Masa actually gets a huge boop. And here's the Blade.
Into the point as well. Does take a nice dunk as that Transcendence didn't work out too well for him, but over time is still ticking down. 99%. Kid finishes up with the Dragon Blade. They're going to be able to touch, but not for long. It should be Hurricane securing Temple.
Great understanding of the ultimates available to Team Gigantti.
All right. So that's what happened. It was really smart gameplay. Like I am honestly surprised of how clever that was. Because you gotta understand that I'm watching it like here, I'm pausing it and I'm thinking about it. I'm just like thinking over my head and just like analyzing it slowly. And that way I can predict what happens. But these guys are doing like the decisions and the strats like immediately, like that somebody's clicking really fast. And this is, that was beautiful, like British Hurricane played it really well. I think they outsmarted Gigantti, like Gigantti played smart, but British Hurricane was next level.
Blood in the water, Jaws. He drew out his blade, and he cut Team Gigantti into some finished sushi.
Well, that Sanctum will go over for the first map point for British.
How do I get rid of them? I actually
now Gigantti
made it
their
blue.
Opportunity to play this triple tank or play around Reinhardt's shield. LH Cloudy, he has to kind of stick on this, I feel. They are very, very good at playing around his aggression, and comboed with Davin Zaya is also a very scary prospect. We're seeing
all right, this is interesting. I actually love this. Like, I used to play main tank, and this is my favorite comp. So what do we have here? This is Village, and Village is different than the two other maps in Nepal. Like, if you look at the Team Gigantti's comp, well, actually, if you look at either of the comps, because they're exactly mirrored. So we have Rein as a main tank, and then we have Zarya in the off-tank category. These guys go really well together. And then we have D.Va, which is interesting, like you're running triple tank. And then you have Moira, Lucio, and Junkrat as a DPS. Like, Junkrat is the only DPS. And the reason for this comp is that it's extremely durable. Like, you're fast, you move as a death ball, but with triple tank, like, D.Va can eat most of the projectiles. Rein can block a lot of damage. Zarya can give bubble when the Rein can't hold on. And Junkrat can just, like, splash the enemy team with constant damage. And British Hurricane is running the exact same combo.
After week,
so this is gonna be like a crazy nuke war.
When you're holding the point, it's so hard to breach that, and that's exactly what they've gone with. Fusions, though, he's hopping on a Reinhardt of his own.
Yeah, we know Cloudy is the master of the swing, but it's time for Fusions to step up to the plate, and already he's falling so low. He's going to need to save some shield strength, but he's been thrown away. The rest of his team isn't going to have the protection now as LH Cloud is secured the high ground for his team. Nil's going to be able to, with no threats, rain down these bombs.
Craggy is very, very high charge, though. The shield is actually going to break from LH Cloudy, but Fusions pays the price already. RCK.
Yeah, this is why I hate Junkrat. Like, I think Junkrat needs a nerf, and I'm gonna show you why. Like, the reason for this comp is that they have Junkrat, and both teams have a Junkrat, and the main goal of the Junkrat is to, sure, they're gonna like exchange grenades and doing a lot of like frontline splash damage, okay, but I think equally important than the damage is that Junkrat can throw the enemy tanks in the air. Like, that's super annoying. Like, if you watch closely, sorry, I'm just feeling like I need to sneeze. Okay, so take a look at the enemy Reins.
Swing, but it's time for Fusions to step up to a plate, and already he's falling so low.
Boop,
He needs to save
boop.
some shield strength, but he's been...
They're getting booped at the very same time. You can even hear the like C4 explosive going over the Junkrat's mines. It's like boom, boom, and the Reinhardts fly.
Away. The rest of the team isn't going to have the...
It's really hard to play Reinhardt and like try to do something if Junkrat is constantly just booping you up in the air.
Now as LH Cloud is secured the high ground for his team. Nil's going to be able to...
Okay, again.
With no threats, rain down these bombs.
Craggy is very...
This is actually like a really pure barrier war. Like, whichever tank's barrier gets destroyed first is probably gonna die.
Very high charge, though. The shield is actually gonna...
But Davin plays an important part keeping Cloudy alive. He just gave a bubble to Cloudy when he was like 20%.
Break from LH Cloudy.
And RCK gets a kill on the Fusions, which is Hurricane's Reinhardt player. So it was really tough. It could have gone either way. It was really squishy, like not squishy. It was like super even, but Gigantti was that much better.
but Fusion's paid the price already. RCK just ran straight into him. Craggy's trying to do all the work he can, but his team is just falling around him right now. RCK...
Yeah, but without a main tank, they're forced to fall back. Like, sure, you can try, but it's gonna be a downhill. Even though Gigantti loses Cloudy, it's still 5 versus 4. So that means that Hurricane's gonna back off. And it seems to me that Hurricane's Diva has lost his mech, or her mech. I wouldn't have used the Junkrat's tire here. I think it was a little bit of overkill. And it's hard to get value at this part of map. Like, if you look at the tires there, it's already at like 5 HP. Like, how are you gonna get there? Like, you just gonna like and get there, boom. Not gonna happen. It's probably gonna get destroyed.
Like Coalescence and the beam from Craggy will find him in a very awkward situation.
Because what you wanna do is, when you use a tire, it's like anybody who's playing Junkrat and wants to know how to use tire, hear me out. When you want to use tire, it's best to use it when there's a lot of chaos. Like for example, when you're initiating a team fight, like your Reinhardt and Zarya and people are like rushing forward and creating space. That's when you want to use a tire, because a tire can just follow the tanks, and it's gonna get like, it's gonna be like basically hidden behind the tanks and behind the chaos, and that's very easy to like pick off somebody like through all that. If you use it where there's like clear line of sight, nobody's in front, it's just gonna get melted.
Riptide came out from Neil, but Happyco was able to just...
Because imagine if you now have the tire.
For the time being, Craggy being so aggressive though. Davin already built himself up.
Imagine if you now had the tire, you could actually like use it behind the point and just like climb over the wall and go on top of the hut and like flank them and stuff like that.
That's an incredibly fast ult charge of it.
Imagine if you had the tire.
Straight away.
He's going to throw straight in. The Coalescence going to land on top of him as well. It's all down to Davin to break that shield.
Okay, that's a little bit of unlucky, but it could have gone a lot better if you were if Gigantti was a little bit more, what's the word? Careful. I think careful is the right word. Because look what happens. Like, Davin lands a very juicy Graviton. Like, it's a good play from him. He lands a juicy Graviton. I think there's 4 people in, but Fusions has full HP basically and full barrier, because he died the first in the early match. He's gonna be the first here, or he's gonna be here with a full barrier, because he hasn't been here for a long time. So you cannot kill the enemy Graviton stack if the Reinhardt has full shield. Like, you can't blast him through it. It's gonna absorb like 1.8k damage. So what Gigantti does is they wanna land the Poco bomb. They wanna use the Diva bomb inside the Graviton and blow everybody up. But what happens is that RCK's self-destruct is a little bit off. It's just a little bit off. What you need to do to get it inside it or behind it is that you need to know the exact length or the distance the bomb travels, and you need to get either inside of the Graviton or a little bit behind. And now what you see is that it just stays in front of the Graviton, and the Reinhardt can just block it with the shield. And at the same time, Cloudy tries to make up for this. Like, he could have saved it by charging off the enemy Reinhardt and taking down the barrier with him. Like, if he would have been able to charge the Reinhardt off, the Diva bomb would have killed everybody. But all these things went a little bit wrong. You can first see the Diva bomb is there. Look, the Diva bomb is on the front. And Cloudy tries to charge, but he misses and he's a little bit late.
To Davin to break that shield. The self-destruct's going to do him for him, but they don't find any kills just yet.
So they lose 2 very strong ults. They had the ult advantage. They had Graviton, which is the best ult in the game. They had Diva Bomb, which is good. And they had Junkrat Tire earlier. And they just blew it all. But they didn't get any value out of them. And meanwhile, look what happens. Cube, the enemy Junkrat, gets huge value out of his Tire. He gets 2 kills.
Coalescence and grab being used in Kid. In fact, it's going to find the back line. Ripper and Mezzo already fall, and that is Hurricane beating their way onto the point.
Cloudy desperately trying his best to trade his life for percentage points, and now there's going to be a nasty stagger onto RCK. He wants to try and get off the back, but Hafiko with a perfect, absolutely fantastic.
Now just staggering RCK. Feels bad, man.
Team Gigantti can even move in again. Davin is going to be forced to rebuild that Graviton from scratch because it was put into the last fight. Of course, LH Cloudy, I feel he didn't.
All right. So let's look at the ult economy. Like, it's probably in favor of British Hurricane because they just won that fight and Gigantti basically used half of theirs. So Gigantti has Shatter and almost Sound Barrier and almost a Tire again. And meanwhile, British Hurricane has Diva Bomb, Graviton, Moira ult, and almost a Shatter. So it's 3 versus 4. Or if you don't look at the ults that they don't have, it's gonna be 1 versus 3. So this is gonna be tricky for Gigantti again. They should probably just go on and just don't use any ults. Just lose the next fight. Try to bait a Graviton or something. Because the ults are looking so much in favor of British Hurricane that it's gonna be really hard.
Have as much effect in that as he wanted to. He should have been able to charge fusions out of Graviton so that RCK could have got a better combination, and that shield wasn't there to protect them. Alas, that was not the case. And now Fusions is ready to match the... Oh.
Okay, so they use... Did they actually use 3? Yeah, okay, so they used Neil's ult, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think they should have just not used anything. But instead they choose to use stuff. So, because they used Tire, they need to commit now. They used 1 ultimate, they need to go all in. Because if they lose it and lose the ult, it's just gonna like dig a deeper hole. I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, it's either way. You cannot use a little bit of something at this point. You either need to use nothing or everything. And I'm guessing that Gigantti will go with everything here. Because what's happening here is that you can see Cloudy's barrier is almost dead. They just landed a huge grab. I think like 3 or 4 players are in it. And Poco Bomb is coming to kill you. And yeah, let's see what happens.
Well, there's the grab.
Okay, so this is the thing that I just said earlier. Like, you need to land the Diva Bomb so that it either gets inside the grab or a little bit behind. The reason for it to be behind is that if you get the Diva Bomb behind the grab, it's gonna force the Reinhardt to turn around, and that's gonna expose the front line in a way. So their Diva Bomb was better than RCK's because it went behind them. They didn't pop a Sound Barrier, no? Okay, this is actually really interesting. So Cloudy tries to play a huge play. This is really bold. I love the guy because he's got the balls of steel that you need to play as a Reinhardt. So he tries to go for a really huge play. He shatters the front line and tries to turn around to block the Diva Bomb. So he shatters to stop the damage coming from when he's turning. But he's a little bit off. He doesn't have time to turn around and block it, and the whole team dies.
Happy Call finds the 4-piece, ends up getting the mech of...
Like, that was... I like the play. He was super bold. Hey, nice nails. Nice nails. I'm just gonna paint him like a true man that I am. Alright. Enough of that.
RCK, and he's finished off with a flame strike. 2 ultimates used in that engagement. They still have that shatter available.
Yeah, the problem in here is now that Gigantti uses 2 ults. They didn't use sound barrier, which is a bit odd. I think they thought that they could survive it, but I think if you go to like situation like that, you need to go either or. You use no ults or you use all ults. And since you used Tire and you use Shatter, I think they should have used the barrier as well. Because now they got barrier, but they got nothing else. British Hurricane got Shatter. Well, they got only Shatter, but still Shatter is better than no ults in the attack zone.
To them. LH Cloudy tried to make something work there, but it was already too little, too late.
Of course, LH Cloudy, he did know that you can halt the progress of a bomb as it's moving with the Earth Shatter, but unfortunately it was a little bit too late, and of course, because he was Earth Shattering, he couldn't shield the remainder of his team. I don't know if he could have saved anyone from that due to the angles, but look at this, British Hurricane moving so far forward.
They're holding really far.
For every single meter they take forward, and of course, the more that they have to sort of be trepidatious and cautious about moving in, the more that British Hurricane can accrue in terms of percentage here. And now, Team Gigantti, they've got 2 support ultimates at their back. They're going to be able to stay in.
They actually got a Moira ult.
He's got the
now,
burst damage. He doesn't really need to.
Stop. Okay, thanks. So now it's actually possible in a sense. So British Hurricane has now. What happened there? How did they get so much ult? Honestly, like didn't they just use grab? Look, Craggy is at 0%.
Halt the progress of a bomb as it's moving with the Earth Shatter, but unfortunately it was a little bit too late, and of course,
and when they're like, yeah, okay, this is a huge, I think this is actually a fairly significant error that Team Gigantti made. Like once you lose the team fight like you did, you should just jump off the cliff, because Craggy got freaking 100% charge. Okay, he's got 90 charge, and he just melted RCK to near 0. So he got 40% ult charge from that. Like the team fight was already done. Team Gigantti lost the fight with a huge grab plus Diva Bomb. But because they didn't die, they didn't jump off the cliff or just die, they tried to escape. Now look what happens. Like Craggy got 45% of his ult.
Look at this, British Hurricane moving so far forward. They're forcing Team Gigantti to pay.
Okay, you could say that. Okay, Ripa got ult charge as well. Like, let's see, Ripa has 60% before the fight begins. He's got 40%, 50%. Yeah, he's got 50% after the grab. And now because he's healing the Diva.
I don't know if he could have saved anyone from that due to the
angles. Yeah, okay, so that's the trade-off. Do you want to make a trade-off where Zarya gets 50% of his ult or her ult in the trade where Moira gets like 50% of her ult? I don't think it's a good trade. Like honestly, I don't think it's a good trade.
Forward, they're forcing Team Gigantti to pay for every single meter they take forward, and of course, the more that they have to sort of be trepidatious and cautious about moving in, the more that British Hurricane can accrue in terms of percentage here. And now, Team Gigantti, they've got 2 support ultimates at their back. They're going to be able to stay in the...
Okay, so they're coming the main again. They got defensive ults. They should probably go with Ripa's ult and just try to fight the point.
This fight for a long time, but Kib, he's got the burst damage. He doesn't really need to worry about it. He's got the tire and it's ready to go.
Okay, so there comes the over the hot rip tire.
Oh, there it comes.
Kib, he's got that tire again.
They're trying to fall back to get line of sight to the tire, but what happens is this is exactly what I said earlier and what we went over in the well 15 minutes ago, is that when you initiate with the team, like if you want to get kills with the rape tire, you need to initiate and create chaos, and this is exactly what British Hurricane does better than Gigantti in this match. When they go with the tire, they create this huge mess. Look at this. This is a freaking mess in what we're seeing. Like there's a whole bunch of shit going on in here. So what happens is it's gonna be super hard to deal with the tire when there's tanks on your face.
Again, can he find the back line? They're all in one space. He throws it straight in.
Boom.
It's a triple. The 3K for Kib.
Like the battle of the Junkrats in kills is probably, or like ultimate kills is like, Neil got probably like, I don't know, does he have any? I'm not sure, but Kib has at least 6 Riptide kills.
Oh dear.
You thought explosions were your ally.
That was painful to watch because this composition likes to move together with the Spooey Booster. Lucio is so easy for Riptides to end like this. They're on 95%. They might just secure Nepal here.
It's crunch time for Team Gigantti. Rip was the only one with an ultimate for Coalesce.
Okay, so now they're coming with the Moira ult. Probably gonna be able to touch it.
No one is on the point, and it will be British Hurricane running away with it 2-0 on Nepal.
Oh boy, just
like, these are 2 really good teams. We can't underestimate them, but British Hurricane showed more discipline, showed a little bit more intelligence. They were a little bit more careful, like with the Diva bombs and stuff like that. I don't think the players are necessarily better on either of the team. Like, I think the players are, like, the material is pretty even. But it's just those little things, like every fight there was a little thing that went in favor of British Hurricane, and then they out-clevered and out-used the ultimates. Ultimates, not ultimates, that's not even a word. Okay, let's continue. We have Nambani.
They could have ran potentially.
So Nambani is super vertical map.
And moved onto a point behind a Reinhardt shield. But I imagine we are going to see them try and post up where we see fusions right now.
So Nambani is super vertical map, and that means that dive is probably the most dominant meta that we're going to ever see in this map.
Because British Hurricane do, like I mentioned before, they are very synonymous with running this exact composition with Crusade on the Lucio, on the defense. But they run something like a Pharah here. You've got to be kind of careful of Kib, but there is so much elevation that you can get. But the thing is, you've got to have Davin on this Tracer. He can't quite match up to Craggy or what we've seen thus far, but he can be a mean Tracer when he can actually get it.
Alright,
and Crusade here is
so,
a huge pain to both
we're seeing some
LCK
last second switches. So we have, on the defense, we have British Hurricane. And British Hurricane is running Winston Diva Dive with Treasure and Soldier as DPS, and Ana and Lucio as healers. So this is a really old combo. Like, this is what I used to run, or what my team used to run when I played semi-pro like a year ago. So the reason behind this comp is that with Ana and Soldier you can hold the high ground. Like, they benefit from the high ground a lot. And with Winston, Diva, Lucio, you just basically defend Soldier and Ana. And Team Gigantti, on the other hand, is running the standard dive. So 2 tanks, Winston, Diva, Zen, Lucio, and Treasure and Genji. The problem I have with this traditional dive on the attack here is that it's pretty hard as a Treasure to get to the place where it matters. Like, Genji can climb these walls and get to the high ground. Winston and Diva can fly and jump on the high ground. Zen can bolt from the bottom, and Lucio can wall climb up if he wants to. But Treasure can't really climb like vertically, especially in this map where the tallness of the high ground is too high. So what Treasure needs to do is either she pokes the people from a point and forces them down, or she has to like go all over the high ground, like run the stairs and run a mile to like get to the place where she needs to be. So I think Treasure it works here, but you need to. It's not a must pick here. I like to see like Widowmakers and Pharahs, and even, well, I'm not sure if Sombra is super strong on this first point, but I think Treasure is not the best pick in here.
They come up when when he brings out that boot, that's less of a problem for a Pharah, because you're just going to be staying in there, and you can maintain constant sight lines to Kib if you are so inclined. Already Kib getting a little bit of ult.
Okay, so they're going the main street. They're looking for information to dive. This is really standard. Like you see this on ladder on Master and GM and top 500.
Here, for remainder of Team Gigantti, we're going to be set.
So they're coming from the high ground and they're looking for the targets to dive. And if they want to do this perfectly, they would need to dive the soldier, Ana. Yeah, those are the two targets basically. You need to kill the soldier or the Ana in order to win the team fight, because soldier is going to out damage Genji and Treasure, and Ana and soldier can keep themselves alive if you don't deal with either of them. And if you look at the British Hurricane point of view, they need to deal with a D.Va. Like they need to kill RCK and Ripa. But if they manage to kill RCK, they can just use soldier freely, basically, because with defense matrix you can block most of the soldier's damage, but if you get the D.Va out of their mech, it's just gonna be so much easier.
Setting up, we're gonna be gathering information. It's all about
okay, so they're coming they're coming as a huge death ball. Only Ripa is on the low ground, so this is pretty well executed. But British Hurricane does a great job. They just boop them back and like immediately create space.
Now went straight in with a speed boost.
Oh, big boop as well.
But Cube and Bok, so both of the targets that they need to kill, like these are the targets that I just mentioned, like Cube and Bok, they're both already down. Like you could say that Gigantti succeeded in their initiation because they forced the important targets to go down, but they're still alive. Like these are the targets you need to kill. Like if you don't kill these two targets, it's gonna be really hard. And what you see is RCK is turning towards the Zen, I believe. Oh no, wait, they don't have a Zen. So I don't know who RCK is actually targeting there, but he's going to the left, when I think that he should have stayed with Cloudy. Like, stay with Cloudy, he needs your help. He has used his barrier or his bubble. Once the bubble is over, he's gonna have trouble staying alive. So you need to kill these two targets and keep Cloudy alive.
They're gonna fall down to the high ground as per.
Okay, so Team Gigantti goes to the point. This is alright, so Winston and D.Va are together with Genji, but you don't have the damage that the soldier does. You gotta keep that in mind. Like, if you let the soldier have the space and let him have time, you're gonna lose. You need to deal with the soldier. We went over this in the first Nepal map. And Team Gigantti struggled in this series against their soldier.
Now it's up to Kib and Crusade to push their way onto this point with
now, even though they're in a nice package deal here in point, they're not dealing with the targets that matter. Okay, they're regrouping, waiting for abilities, maybe healing a little bit, but every second that they give, the soldier's gonna get more space and more confidence that he can just come to the line of sight and kill them.
Help Happy Call.
And that is what happens. Like they give the space, they give opportunity to the soldier,
low, but should be
and they get a kill. And they get the RCK. They get the D.Va kill that I mentioned before the fight started. Like British Hurricane has like dead-on strategy. They need to kill the D.Va, and they do. They kill the D.Va. And now they can do whatever they want.
Did jump onto the big health pack, but it wasn't enough healing at all, and Neil just gets executed. A quick reset from RCK. First push, already gone down. Hurricane holding strong.
Great positional play there from Craggy and Hafikul. We saw that LH Cloudy, they forced him to disengage, go towards that big health pack, but they were waiting there, and he decided he couldn't take that particular health pack without dying, so we had to continue disengaging, go all the way back, although he didn't die. However,
okay, that's serious. That is the reason why Ripa is actually, like last time I checked, I think his ladders in Europe ladder, I think he's second or something. Like this guy is absolutely beast. He actually gets a kill from like 50 meters or something. He kills their most important target. Look, Ripa is here. Now he's loading his right click. Their soldier starts to like poke. Ripa loads and gets a kill. That's it. That's sick. Like this should be a cue for Team Gigantti to wipe this. Like they got the soldier out by Ripa's amazing play. Like he did it alone that the rest of the team couldn't. So what needs to happen now is to find the Ana and win the team fight.
For a long range volley there, ending his life.
Okay, they found the Ana.
For Team Gigantti, we only need 2 more.
That is a very nasty pick. You don't have.
But what happens is that again, I'd say that Cloudy and RCK needs to work on their synergy. Like when Winston jumps in, okay, Cloudy has full HP. Look what happens. Boom, 400, 300, 200, and he's gotta go. Like there's a little things that they could have done better, so that Cloudy didn't need to run away and they could have killed or finished the Ana. So Cloudy uses his bubble here. He uses his bubble, but what happens is that they boop them down and they go to the street, and you don't benefit from your bubble anymore. Like you wasted your bubble, you're not inside the bubble doesn't matter, and you're gonna die. Like you see RCK is at full HP, he's just blasting with his all the damage that she has, trying to kill the Ana. But he should have focused more on helping Cloudy, and Cloudy could have helped himself with the bubble. Cloudy needs to run away.
You don't have that bionic field, although Craggy's going to take out Ripper, but Davin instantly traced that one back with a pulse bomb onto bot.
So Davin gets a huge bomb, kills the Ana. But then, meanwhile, Craggy kills Ripa, RCK kills Lucio, and Winston kills Genji. So there's a whole bunch of shit going on here. This is all like personal gameplay, there's no strategies involved. But the thing is that right now it's 4 versus 4. And the defenders have a spawn advantage. So if the situation is 50-50, it's probably gonna go in favor of defender.
They're going to be able to sit on this point. That pulse bomb is ready to unleash from Craggy. He's playing rather safe. They might just be able to, they might have to just give up another tick here. Craggy does stand out the pulse bomb, doesn't quite get the.
Okay, so Cube gets RCK.
Stick of the wrist and the stick onto LH Cloudy.
Davin gets Craggy, and they get a point. So, like summa summarum, like in summary, it was all because of Ripa's huge right click. That initiated the whole push. Like they got the main damage off, then they started to dive the Ana, they fucked up a little bit, they stumbled a little bit, but they got the Ana and they traded kills. And because they killed all of their supports, they got the point. Like it was messy, it could have gone better.
And that will be the objective going.
And I think Ripa was the MVP in here.
Escort it through the streets, but Davin being rather cautious here. They don't want to push up too far. They got some late spawners, so they have to wait till they actually get back to the car.
British Hurricane, Bocket going to be sticking on Viana, a little bit of a rarity here. However, he does have the nano boost to bring out. I wonder if we're going to see that go into fusions or go into Kib. My theory here, they're going to send in fusions to go for a really deep dive, try and force the support out of either.
All right, this is yeah, they're running both. They didn't switch anything. Now we're on the street phase. The street phase is pretty interesting because this is easily snowballable. If you win the first fight, or if you win the point and you like completely team wipe the enemy team that is defending, they got their spawn in the China. Like it's super far. They get spawned all the way back to the last spawn, and this is easily snowballable if you just take control of the high ground. And which high ground we're talking about here is this. Like here's the platform, and then the platform here. Like if you take control of this place, like here, it's gonna be super hard for them to do anything. But let's see.
Ripper or Master, you can go super deep CS with Primal Rage.
So the British people are already in a place to defend. Like they got their Tracer flanking in the left. Their Winston is waiting to jump, and their soldier is on the end of the street, and he's probably got like Anna and Diva with him, like waiting to get a nano boost. Because if you look at the alt situation now, we have Visor and we have nano, and we almost have a barrier, and we have a Winston alt. And on Gigantti side we have both defensive alts, almost Diva bomb and a Genji alt, and almost this. So the alt economy is in favor of Team Gigantti. But you really gotta work on like what are you gonna do when they pop a nano visor? Because their soldier is actually in a bad place. This is horrible. Like if you pop a visor there and you start to shoot in this direction, you can just go and like behind the payload and not take any damage. Like their soldier needs to be there on top of the bus, or I don't know, here, and he needs help from his tanks. If he's gonna pop his visor there, he's not gonna get anything out of it. I don't know what British people are doing here.
1,000 HP buffer to stop him from dying. He's going straight to a back. You can see him now.
Okay, so what happens is their Treasure Winston jumps on the back line.
Jumping straight in, activates that primal rage as well. Kibs are ready
But
to unleash
why?
the tactical visor, but they decided.
This was really good. Like I think the British people made a mistake here. They came to the back line, and Team Gigantti did the right thing, and they just like pulled back. And now that you're here, like now that you're behind this corner, like here's the corner. Now you're behind here. Their soldier Anna can't do anything. Like he's shooting, there's nothing to shoot. Like they didn't lose their monkey because he used Primal Rage, but they're probably not gonna get anything out of it.
Against it for the time being, a wealth of ultimates.
Now it's Team Gigantti's turn to go, because they have all the ults in the game, and when they have all the ults in the game, they can dedicate, and they can dedicate to a long dive. There, Winston can jump like all the way to the back line. He's not gonna die because he has his ult. Diva can commit. He can go to the back line, and he's not gonna die because he's got his ultimate and can get a new mech. And they can go with a sound barrier to make it even more durable. So I can't see how Hurricane could like possibly beat this, because they fucked up their dive.
They're looking at an entirety of theirs, in fact.
Okay, Davin bombs mech, so they don't have a mech anymore.
Tapical gets demech'd straight away from that pulse one from Davin, still with 5 in the bank available. Hurricane's actually...
And then we see a bomb coming to the corner. I don't think it found anyone.
Not yet brought out. He can't quite find the sleep dart. He's just trying to heal Kib for the time being. He's just getting beaten.
Okay, now the soldier is actually in the perfect position to nano visor. But I don't think this was a good call, because if you look, they already lost their both tanks. So there's nobody to follow him except for the Tracer. But Tracer can't do much when there's no tanks. So what's gonna probably happen is Team Gigantti uses either of the defensive ults, and it's not gonna do anything. Like completely wasted 2 ults, I would say, unless he pulls off a miracle and kills all the squishies.
There's the visor actually knocked up into the high ground by LH Cloudy, and Kib is just
okay, he killed Genji. That could have been prevented by either of the defensive ults, but they didn't use it.
No one can really stop him. LH Cloudy forced to disengage here. They still have the ultimate economy advantage, but 2 support ults can't really be contested right now, as Kib is just pummeling them from the front. And
the British people gotta back down. They can't contest this place.
they don't have the man.
They don't have tanks. Gigantti should just push. They don't have tanks. Just push like you're 9 months pregnant. Just take the space. Why are you here? You have man advantage, you have alt advantage. Take the space, kill them, wipe them, please.
into that. Now Device got cut down, whereas Ripper and Master were like, okay, we have a position here where we can just disengage, we can LOS this, and we don't have to spend either of our support ultimates.
Okay, now you gave them the 5 seconds, you gave them the 10 seconds, now they're regrouped. Okay, now they're coming with, they initiated with the sound barrier, and they use Genji Blade. So that's a good combination, and considering that the British don't have any defensive ults, this should be a successive Blade.
Well, they're going to jump the beat straight in first, and Neil actually opens up with the Blade. He finds his way to the back line, slashing as he must, but he doesn't actually get anybody.
So it was a fairly successive Blade, like they got Ana dead, and they got Diva out of mech.
A little bit of damage onto
I think that's a, like, it was a little bit poorly executed because Neil actually dies and they didn't find, well, I'm not sure, it's probably worth it, like, it was enough.
I assume that was Crusade with a boot to just try and get him out of range. He's been so good, like we were mentioning, this defensive support so good at peeling. Craggy's on the cart, still contesting. Davin's meanwhile cleaning up the rest of the team, and Ripper again.
Yeah, they should do it.
Crusade thinking better of it to go in and contest there.
It was well executed from Gigantti. Like they had the ult advantage. They backed off when they needed to, and they implemented the dive better than Hurricane did. Like Hurricane didn't get much value out of the soldier there. Like they probably have an Ana because they can combine Nano and Visor, but they fucked it up. Like they used it when they didn't have tanks, and it was only Treasure who could follow, and they fucked it up. And then Gigantti like cleaned the table.
Hop it back to spawn and regroup.
Even though their dive wasn't perfect, Neil could have done more with this Blade. But still, it was enough. And still, the ult economy is in favor of Team Gigantti. So this would be a perfect time to make it all the way to the end.
Himself and Kib are going to be at the back. They're going to be taking advantage of these long sightlines, staying rather safe. However, it's going to be Fusions and Happy-Cool moving.
This is actually really important because I've seen this clip before, and I know that they're going to struggle with the soldier, and you're going to see.
Try and keep this contested as early as possible, so they've got as much room to play with as they can have.
Look how aggressive Craggy's being, by the way. He's so low as well. That was extremely close. Trying to build out a pulse bomb. Gets a bit of AoE damage, but not much else. RCK actually forced into this tight corridor to activate the self-destruct. Lofton actually does manage to find Davin somewhere in the middle of all of the chaos. They are just pushing forward, sitting on the cart. So again, it is completely contested. So no distance can be accrued here by.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened there is that even though Gigantti had the whole advantage, like if you look at the paper, we got Davin, we got Ripa, we got RCK, and on British side we have Diva, and well, it's 3 versus 3. But yeah, well, it's actually pretty even. Like it was in favor of Gigantti like 10 seconds ago. But what Craggy did, he went super deep. Like even the casters say it. He went super deep, and he actually succeeds in farming the ult super fast. Like before the, let's see. I want to see how fast he actually gets it. So he is on 75%. Yeah, they swapped the Ana to Zen.
Himself and Kib are going to be at the back. They're going to be taking advantage of these long sightlines, staying rather safe.
This is really tricky because you need to take away the space away from Soldier, because Soldier is super strong in here because you have this great distance. Soldier can be up here. I'm gonna paint again. Soldier can be up there. He can be up there. He can be down here, he can be here. Like you need to be able to deal with Soldier. He's got great line of sight in here. Like if you don't deal with the Soldier, you're gonna lose like you lost on Nepal. On Nepal Sanctum to be exact. You need to be able to deal with the Soldier. But the Craggy goes really aggro. Like once they come here, Craggy goes super aggro. He's farming his ult like there's no tomorrow. And he's got his ult. He made like 25% in no time.
He's so low as well.
Then he uses bomb.
Extremely close. Trying to build out a pulse bomb.
And they use Diva Bomb to like create chaos, and RCK actually gets like the group gets divided because they throw the bomb, the Diva Bomb to the corner. It doesn't get any kills, but it manages to split off Gigantti, and RCK is flying to the only place where he sees that he's gonna stay alive, but it's not good enough. He's gonna get demeched here. He's using Diva Bomb to get a new mech, but I'm not sure if that's the right call. Then Davin dies.
Bokken actually does manage to find Davin in the somewhere middle of all of the chaos. They are just pushing forward, sitting on the cart, so again it is completely contested, so no distance can be acquired here.
And it's because RCK lost his mech, is that they were forced to go back, and they lost Davin. Like, their soldier is just like pumping in the backline and just like doing a whole bunch of damage, and they don't need to actually dive their back line like Team Gigantti does. Like, this is the difference between these comps, because what you need to realize in this is that British Hurricane is running the soldier. They don't have the dive potential that Team Gigantti does. Team Gigantti is running 2 tanks as well, and Treasure, this is the same thing that they have. But because of the Genji, you're gonna lose the long distance fight, so you need to be able to get the fight to them and kill the soldier. Like, kill the soldier, kill the Zen. And the longer that you are in the soldier's line of sight, the odds are only gonna get worse by the second, because they have simply more damage than you do. And this is, I'm gonna let it roll out, because this is the theme that goes over like for like, I don't know for how long, but they can't deal with the soldier. Like, I said that I'm gonna let it roll, but I lied. So if you look at Cloudy, and he's gonna bubble at the edge of the corner. He's gonna bubble when he comes out to the payload. Look, 3, 2, 1. He bubbles. Less than 3 seconds, and the bubble is down. Like, that is the power of the soldier. Genji can't do a freaking fraction of the damage. Like, if he's in range. You need to get the Deadly Ninja to their faces. And what I'd like to see here is that they go over. I'm gonna put it back once again. What I want to see Gigantti do here is utilize their comp so that they go this way, or that they go to the high ground and jump from here. Because if they come here and they're gonna dance around here, their soldier is just gonna be free to shoot, free to shoot, free to shoot. You cannot compete with that. If you go to the left, you can run all the way behind this house, and then you can dive their backline, or at least you can try. Or if you go up here and you can dive here, and then again you like created space and took away some of theirs. But if you come here, it's just gonna be a mess, I can tell you. Let's see. So they try to initiate the dive from the main. They try to fight the frontline war, but they can't. Here comes the visor, because what happened is that Cloudy uses his bubble, RCK has used his fly ability and probably most of his defense matrix. So there's nothing really that Gigantti can do. Like, you're just gonna roll over them. They don't have bubble, they don't have flight, they don't have ults. You can just clean off the table. Like, there's nothing to stop you.
There we go, Kib opening up with the tactical visor, making sure everybody runs in that very short corridor. Ripper pays with his life, and everybody else is just going to get clean.
And this is just going to keep on happening until you deal with the soldier.
He's a champion at that, and
because Soldier is surprisingly good in here.
Although actually saying that, 3 ults to work with his Transcendence does appear.
Winston, champion of both peanut butter and ping pong. Those that don't know, Fusion's batting everyone around and showing them who the true wrestling lord is. Jeff, beat your hearts out. However, Masar, he has that sound barrier. He's ready to combine it with Neil's sound barrier, Neil's Dragon Blade again. They're going to use them both at the same time potentially, but no, they're going to use it to force out the support ultimates from British Hurricane.
Instant Transcendence as Neil dash straight.
Where's my cursor? Okay. So there's a lot of stuff happening. So Gigantti comes from main, goes inside the house, but still they try to initiate from the front. Like they're just like hitting their faces to the wall. Like this is what happens. But this time they have ults. They have both of their defensive ults, so they pop sound barrier and try to go deep and find the backline. Like this is what they. Well, I'm just looking at the wrong team now. I'm starting to get tired. So Gigantti actually has only Blade, and the British have those 3 ults. So excuse me, I am talking nonsense in here. But they use sound barrier. Okay, how can I miss all this stuff? So they're gonna go with sound barrier and Blade. That's what's going on. But what they don't realize is that the enemy team has all their defensive ults. All of them. So there's no way this can work. No way, because these teams are good. You're not talking about some tier 3 team in the scrims where you can just Blade and barrier and kill everybody. Like, this is a good team. Even if you want to win the contenders, you gotta be smart. Boom, there's the Zen ult. Okay, they forced the Zen ult. They didn't use Blade, so there's some hope in the world. They tried and succeeded in baiting out the Zen ult, but look, British people actually made a mistake here. They used both of their defensive ults, so that was really good baiting from Gigantti, and that was bad comps in Hurricane's end, because they baited both of their ults. Like, you can see the 0% and you can see the sound barrier shield in there, and yeah, they don't have any defensive ults. So what they should do is just either try to, well, do something or get out. Like, it doesn't matter if you lose this fight. You got both of the defensive ults out. I think this fight is already done. Like, you succeeded in doing what you should have done. Just get out. Okay, Cloudy actually got a kill. This is huge. But then he died. I think this was lack of discipline and shot calling. I think once they used both of their defensive ults, they should have just gotten out. No ults, just we win the ult economy war. Like, you need to be able to think ahead of the match, because if you didn't use these ults, you would have had them on the next one, and they didn't. And for the next fight, you could have gone with Cloudy's Primal Rage and just like overcommit to the backline, create space for your Genji ult, and they don't have anything to counter it. So now it's gonna be tough again, because Neil doesn't have the tank that can reliably stay where he needs to.
Hurricane still playing rather far forwards. Craggy just so aggressive on this Tracer. We kind of know him for that. He's just been up and down the leaderboards. He was recently rank 1, playing on the NA server as well. This guy's not afraid of playing with high ping and not afraid of playing that far up in your face either.
Hurricane needs to play forward. Make sure that Nil is paying for every single.
Yeah, okay, so what happens now is they don't have the Primal Rage. They don't have, well, they have Ripa's ult. So what they should do now is go with Ripa's ult, go with Transcendence plus Blade, and try to nail the Soldier and the Zenyatta. That's what I want to see. You have the ult advantage now, make it count. Use these ults first. You need to think them as a pair. Genji ult can't deal stuff alone, so you need to combine these two, or these two, but they don't have it. And Winston ult can help too if you have it, because then you have this commitment to the attack. So these three could go together. Now that they don't have the Winston ult, it's gonna be a little bit harder, but it's doable.
Single meter, but he steps forward. He has a blade, and it will be uncontested. They're going around the back now. They've got Verizon for support. They straight up the blade.
Boom blade, and this is the, if you just like scroll down my or scroll back my video 10 minutes, this is what I explained to you guys. Like, I want to see that they go to the left behind the building and dive their backline. Not through the front street, not through the front. I want to see that they flank, and this is what they do. They go through the building and they get a blade.
There he is, he's got it straight on top of the tanks, just ready to D2, but it doesn't matter what just happened, kid.
Okay, so that was both unlucky. Like, Nil didn't get much value out of his blade. I think it was a halfly unlucky and halfly bad like play in a sense. Like, they didn't know where the soldier was, and the problem with the soldier is that he's fast, so that when they see them running through the building, he can actually rotate back to the payload. And he's gonna play this like cat and mouse like little game. And yeah, Nil dies due to a little bit of unlucky circumstances, but Davin manages to get a kill. Cloudy manages to get a kill, but then Davin dies. So again, I don't know where Ripa used his ult, because people shouldn't die when he's ulting. Like, what happened?
Every single meter that he steps forward, he has a blade, and it will be uncontested. They're going around the back now. They've got Verizon for support.
Okay, so you hear Ripa used his ult.
There he is.
There he is. I saw Ripa in the building.
Straight on top of the tanks, just ready to D2, but
So that was actually just... It wasn't so much unlucky, it was bad play, because Ripa was ulting and he was in the place and Nils still died. So that could have been played better. Okay, it's a lost fight again. That was probably a turning point in this attack, because they had a ult advantage and they blew it. Now it's gonna be really hard, because in order to regain the ult advantage, it's gonna take at least 2 fights. Like, on the next fight you only have Diva ults, and the British have, well, 3 ults or something. Like, it's gonna... Once you blew the ult advantage, it's gonna be a lot harder to regain it. Like, you need time to regain the ult advantage.
Absolutely. Pocket and Crusade, they both use the rolls at the same time, and now they're both moving up to them as well, but they need to stagger them now. They're looking at a 1 minute 30 time back from Team Gigantti.
Okay. Craggy actually failed, so every time somebody fails with their ults, it like changes the theory or the theoretical aspect of the game, because if we're looking at like perfect players, like ult economy is everything. Like, you can like objectively think, yeah, okay, we got these ults and we got these ults, these can win those and those can win them, and so you can like calculate the outcome if everything is in theory. But now that we're playing with real players and real humans, it doesn't go like that. So Craggy fails with his ult. So now the ult advantage is, well, it's still heavily in favor of British, but Team Gigantti actually now has a lot better chance of winning this fight. Okay, so they use the Diva bomb, try to make it count. This is, again, it's risky play, because if you fuck it up, you're just gonna put the clock, like, you're gonna just bite off your own clock of regaining the ult economy. So it doesn't get any value, and then Coop comes here with his stack visors, probably gonna clean the table. Yeah. Imagine if you now had the Diva bomb.
used in that fight.
And now he gets staggered. Like this team, this British Hurricane, they're really good at punishing. Like if RCK tried to get away, tried to save like her mech and tried to save her like life, but they just went into their freaking spawn and got him. And that's gonna cost them like 20 seconds.
Very happy boys right now, Jaws. They have 2 ultimates remaining for defensive purposes, and for Transcendence and for Soundbar, if they can layer these correctly rather than use them both at the same time, this is all British Hurricanes to take.
But now if you look at the ult economy again, it's still in favor of the British Hurricane, and you still need to like get over this fight, and then you have a chance to regain the ult advantage. And imagine, I'm just gonna humor it, imagine if you had the Diva Bomb.
To give everyone a little bit of tinnitus on the side of a
Hurricane. Launches in, Bokken already claims alive, Ripper is gonna go down,
yeah, they're winning this because of the ults. And now they have the ult advantage again. Like it took 2 fights, 2 lost team fights to regain the ult advantage. Now you have a lot to work with again. You have Primal Rage, you got Tracer Bomb, you got Sound Barrier, you got almost a Blade. Imagine if you had the Diva Bomb.
20 seconds remaining, the car's already pushing back.
And now there is a silver lining for Team Gigantti. They got wiped so quickly that there is time for yet another push, but it's all going to be in overtime now.
So you gotta go with the Sound Barrier Blade probably. You need to farm the Blade and probably bait the trance. Like you need to bait the trance. That's your #1 thing.
They're on the car right now. That pulse bomb finds one of the mechs, but it doesn't really matter. It's healed up instantly.
Ouch. So Davin probably tried to go with Cloudy and bait the trance. Like that's how I see it. Cloudy's there.
They're on the car right now. That pulse bomb finds one of the mechs, but it doesn't really matter. It's healed up instantly.
I think that was poor play by Cloudy because he drops his bubble again. He's here. Like you can see that both of the Davin and Cloudy are both here. They are safe. Cloudy drops his bubble. Okay, I don't think there's anybody to damage here. Like the barrier is there for no reason, and I'm not sure where Cloudy is now, but he dies. So the bubble was misused and made him die. Okay, you could argue that Masa could have saved him with an earlier sound barrier. So that's like two strikes there. And now it seems like a impossible war. Neil tries to make a huge play. He actually gets both of the healers, so that was huge. And this is actually very, very unlucky. Like this was super tight. This could have turned around still, because it turns to overtime, if Ripa manages to get his ult a little bit faster. Like he's 97%, he's throwing the balls all over the place, like lick him, and but he fails. He does an amazing job getting the trance, but he's just that second late. You can hear him. He used it immediately. He comes to save his Genji pal, but he's late. And it's a lost fight.
Overtime still ticking down, but Hurricane have the spawn advantage and the man advantage. It ticks on through. 2 points and 62 meters for Team Gigantti's attack.
Okay, then it's the other way around.
Beautiful when you get a good 30% after it hits 3 people, but it does look like that. Drop down on top of him where he's got the additional.
Yeah, this is actually really interesting. So normally you see dive here, like we saw on the defense, or on the other side, but now both teams are running something else. So Team Gigantti is defending with tank heavy composition. They got a Rhine, they got a Diva, and then they have 2 supports, Genji and Sombra. And British Hurricane has the tank heavy composition that I tried to say. So British Hurricane has Rhine, Hawk, Diva, Zarya, so they're running quad tank with 2 heals. Alright, so I'm guessing that British Hurricane thought that Team Gigantti would go for dive here, and if they played dive, this comp is actually really good at playing, like challenging the point, and it's really hard to dive anything when there's really nobody to dive.
No support of both his healers and that health bank. However, British Hurricane, they're going to be coming out with the quad tanks, so if Felix Cloudy goes down to brawl, they're ready to give him a sucker punch.
This quad tank is also deadly. Seems British Hurricane have been working on their quad tank a fair bit. So I think it's the first time we're actually seeing this.
So what British Hurricane does is that they go from bottom and make it to the point, like they thought that they would run a dive, I would assume. I'm not sure if they have done a better scouting than I have, but they're gone to the point and try to like force them down and just win the fight with brute force. Team Gigantti jumps down and does a really good job at finding a target, and they kill the Zarya.
I just get amped up. He's straight in there. He doesn't care. Neil's going to find the first gun to crack it. They're all forced into this small.
I don't know how this is possible. Like Cloudy got his ult lagging. Let's look at this. Look at Cloudy's ult charge. 4%, 5%, 6%, 10, 11, 30, 40, 60, 70, 80. Boom. It's insane. It's insane. Like he probably was swinging like 360s and hitting everybody.
Where does this guy get his percentage from? He doesn't have a shield key. He's a rowdy boy and he went straight into amidst the British Hurricane. Craggy there with telling only 11% of his ultimate fell incredibly early there.
This comp Team Gigantti is running can deal with this tank heavy comp, because if you manage to farm EMP, you're gonna wipe them like every time. But I think the Genji is a problem here, because Genji is not very good with tanks, and you can't really kill the healers. Like Lucio is basically a counter for, like, I'm sorry, Lucio is practically a counter for Genji, and Moira is just unkillable. And then there are 4 tanks. Like only one of those 4 tanks that you can reliably kill is Zarya, and even that is questionable. So Genji is not a good pick here. I would consider something like Pharah or Soldier or Junkrat, or I don't know, something like that.
That must be pretty satisfying, hitting everybody, right? That's sad.
They're doing the same thing again.
Ripper does have that coalescence. Speaking of it, it's actually going to use from the high ground here.
They hacked the D.Va. And Neil actually got fairly good value out of his blade, even though I'd say that Genji was a bad pick in here. But they wanted to use the blade before they switch, I believe. And they're gonna clean this off. They used Moira ult and Genji ult. Cloudy is already 70% again.
He was hacked. No defense matrix, no issues for Team Gigantti cleaning him up. Another clean defense here, but these are very fast.
Ults are 50-50 now. But the EMP is stronger than any of the British ults, because EMP is gonna just wreck them, absolutely wreck them. It's gonna be a freaking wrecked. I'm calling it. They're coming from main. We're gonna see an EMP. Boom. There's nothing they can do. They're gonna die. I think the D.Va bomb was overkill, but they switched to Junkrat. They switched the Genji to a Junkrat. I think that's a good call. I don't think they needed the D.Va bomb, because you gotta be careful when you're holding the hybrid first point, because what easily happens is that the attackers just stack their ults. They don't use anything, they just stack their ults, and the defenders need to use something. They use like 2 ults, they use 2 ults again, and then they use some ult, and this happens. Like if you look at the ult economy now, British Hurricane has everything except Krabi down. Gigantti has, well, they have Shatter and Moira ult and Barrier. So the next fight in ult economy term is gonna be hard.
for British Hurricane. Only one used from Team Gigantti and LH Cloudy. He's already got another shadow to his name.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Craggy swap over to a Tracer, because he's not really getting anything done on the side. Look, it's only 56% thus far, and his bubbles are being wiped away by Davin coming in with hacks. He can shut down Happy Call as well as they come in, and now look, here we see British Hurricane on the backside of a point now, making sure there's a bit more of a commute for Cloudy to come in and lay down that hammer.
But there's a coalescence from Hurricane.
Okay. Oh wow, this is, I love this, like 2 Reinhardts. Oh, what? What happened? Like, Cloudy gets a nice shatter. Like, slam. Cloudy had his shield up, but what I believe and what I know that happened is that even though it seems like Cloudy had his shield up, is that he, what I have personally called it, he chickened out. Like he got a juicy slam, but then he saw and he got scared for a millisecond, and he released his shield. Like, that's what happened. It looks like he's holding his shield down and the slam goes through it, but actually he lets go of it and he gets stunned. Like, it's a tiny bit of mistake. Like, this is what I love. I love Reinhardt versus Reinhardt battles because it's the freaking war of titans. Like, this is what I want to see. I want to see more Reinhardt gameplay. Cloudy is an amazing Rein, but he fucks up. Because if he blocked that, they would have been able to come with the sound barrier and just stomp over them. Now they use the sound barrier and block the damage, and now they're on the defensive end.
Kid goes in for a big hook, and he ends up opening up with the whole hog as well, pushing everybody back. Neil ripped higher, can't quite find him just yet.
Okay, that's some great maneuvers. Like, if you remember what I went over earlier, is that when you want to use if you want to use Junkrat Tire, you gotta use it so that you're creating chaos. Like, your team is pushing towards their team and creating like space and chaos. That is when you need to use your tire and just like roll your way through the chaos and get kills. Like, that's what I want to see. Neil did an exceptionally good job at avoiding damage. Like, let's watch it again. Hey man, hey Kennedy. How did the scrims go, man? So here comes the tire. This is like, there's no chaos. I think this is the wrong place to use a tire. There's no comms. Like, when you use a tire, you need to yell that your team needs to push forward. And you can do it because the enemy team gets scared of the tire. Like, hey look, it's tire. We gotta be aware. And that's when you need to push. I want to see this moment so the tire can just roll through here and get an explosion. But they don't do that. And Neil has to do all these crazy movements. It's like me avoiding responsibilities. And he doesn't get any value out of it. Even though he had these crazy maneuvers, he didn't get any value out of it. It was poor timing from Team Gigantti's end. There comes EMP. I'm not sure how many it actually hit, but it was a good EMP. It could have been a bit better. I don't think it got all of them.
From shielding up, but he's still swinging away. Craggy's almost to that graviton surge as well. He's managed to actually demech RCK. He needs to just fling it out right now.
Alright, they lost RCK, they lost Cloudy, they lost Masa. That was really good fight. Like, that was super good fight. It had like plot twist like no soap opera has ever had. There were shatters, and then there were counter shatters, and then there were like chickened out, and then there were like crazy tires and good EMPs, but it wasn't enough. Like, that was good stuff. East Clap improved so much compared to yesterday after fruitful strat discussion and map talk with the team. Played against the same team which we lost to yesterday, 0-5. Today we won 3-1-1. Congrats, man, that's freaking awesome. I'm really happy to hear that.
Took a few tries, but they finally get there. 3 minutes now to push it through the streets.
Well, Cloudy thought he had British Hurricane's number after so many successful Earth Shatters, but no. Fusions was giving him the old.
Okay, so this is troubly, because the first point, well, I'd say that in Numbani, if you attack the first 2 points, like first the payload and then the street section, they are fairly hard to play with a Rhine comp. It's fairly hard. It's mainly because of the verticality. Like you see, this distance from the street to the high ground, it's too high. You can't jump it. You can't climb it. It's just too hard. It's really hard, and I would say that dive is better here, and some of the teams actually switch. Once they get the payload, they switch to like Winston's and stuff. But then again, if you manage to snowball it, and this is what I think that Gigantti is going for, they wanna like keep their ults and they wanna keep the payload moving. And if they actually manage to get all the way here to the checkpoint, then that combo is good again. Like if you manage to get through the street phase, this combo is super strong.
Of the Earth Shadow, he laid down a shield a second too early, and the lingering hitbox hit both himself.
Oh yeah, what am I talking? Of course, Hurricane is the one attacking, but they're running fairly similar comps, so it goes the other way around.
And take advantage of the people that were laid down on the floor by Cloudy, and because of that, Ripper and
I think Gigantti could have gone dive here, but I believe they wanted to stick on their strength, which is Cloudy on Rhine, and that they wanted to keep on their keep their ults. Okay, so what happened there? I completely lost my chain of thought.
Himself and the remainder of his team who were looking to come in and take advantage of the people that were laid down on the floor by Cloudy.
Okay, so Cloudy messes up and he gets hooked.
And because of that, Ripper and
he dies. That's a huge gameplay by KYB, but at the same time it's a big mistake by Cloudy. Like, you just can't let that happen. And what happened is that they already called the strat and they used Tire. Tire's probably not gonna get anything. Okay, he got a pick, but it's not enough. They lost the main tank and traded to a Lucio. They got the spawn advantage, they don't have a main tank. You gotta fall back. Pop the fuck off. Nice. Look how back the Team Gigantti is playing now. Well, maybe because they don't have a main tank.
But they've got so many ults in their bank, and they've almost got 6 as well. Pocket and Crusade, just a little bit more healing will give them the ultimates that they need. But Ripper's ready to facilitate an engagement.
Alright, let's see at the alt economy. Okay, it looks horribly in favor of the British, because they have virtually every alt in the game. Team Gigantti has well, they used the Moira ult. They want to contest it, which I see why they would want to do it, because they didn't make it to the end. So they popped the Moira ult and try to contest, but it's gonna be super hard. They could just, like, British Hurricane could just counter this by simply using a let's say Grav or a Roadhog, or both of them, or even Shatter and Diva. Like, I don't see how Team Gigantti could possibly win this.
There's the Coalescence. Pocket, like you said, has got his available in a couple of seconds too.
Yeah, here comes the Grav. Okay. So they actually, that was really cool. Where did the Diva use his ult? Like, you can see the Diva on top of the payload.
There's the Coalescence. Pocket, like you said, has got his available in a couple of seconds too. Craggy actually fires the Grav.
Okay, so this is actually very well executed from British again. So what happens here is that Cloudy is here. Like, this is Cloudy with his shield. Like, there's some distance between the Grav and him. What actually Cloudy needs to do is fall back and try to, like, go into the Grav and try to block the damage. Of course he's blocking the damage where he is right now, but you can see the Diva bomb sliding through him, and he's not gonna be able to make it and block it. So there's gonna be a whole bunch of death in here. And meanwhile, Davin is here overextended and trying to challenge the Hog, while I think he should be bubbling his own players in the Grav and not challenging the Hog, because see what happens. The Hog turns around and pins him against the wall with his ult. Alright.
the back line. It hits two.
Here comes the ult. Like, why would you come inside here? You're gonna die.
He's gonna execute Nil and Massa. They're dead for the time being. Fusions is gonna be able to block that self-destruct and block the damage from LH Cloudy. He's got the shadow, but he's gonna save it. They know this point is lost. It's still contesting.
Yeah, it was in theory it was already lost before they like started it. Of course they had a chance, but it was so stacked against them. But now the comp that British Hurricane is using is actually very strong. And this is something that Team Gigantti could have done better. Like, once they lost the first point, they could have switched to complete dive. And with the dive comp, they could have probably done a better job at taking the high ground and forcing some ults to just like... they would have done a better job at forcing them to use their ults to gain space. Now, Hurricane just pretty much won with ult economy alone. Gigantti couldn't challenge, not with the comp they were running, not with the ults they were running.
Be the one who can hold their nerve longest. Usually you want to be the one who's second to bring out the sandbar because it dissipates over time. If you can get a disengagement...
Alright, now they're actually doing it right. Like, Neil uses his tire and the rest of the team is like pushing forward. This is what you need to do. You need to create the space and the chaos so that you get a good tire.
After, here comes Neil with another rip tire. They're just too much.
Oh. Look at the Neil's movement. Poggers.
Oh no, that was sad to watch. He was trapped in that small room.
He was like a shark haunting the ship that is sinking or something like that. It was super fun.
Oh boy.
But now Team Gigantti, they have finally stabilized on the defense. Cloudy feeling very happy to just throw out a fire strike there.
Gigantti has regained the like the ults are pretty balanced. You could say that Gigantti is a little bit ahead or in favor because they have Graviton. So what they probably should do is just go with speed boost and get a shatter. But you gotta be careful because they get shatter as well, and well, they can do the same thing. This is the Battle of Rhines. Okay, so Cloudy comes with a speed boost and does the oldest trick in the Reinhardt book. Just speed boost and slam to the ground, and it works. Like, Cloudy's a good Rhine, he popped off. That was beautiful. You actually team wiped them with one ult.
You can tell the prowess of both these teams. Their ultimate economy usage is just absolutely stellar. Only one ultimate committal there from Gigantti. They've still got the barrier.
Yeah, the casters are kind of stepping on my point.
But let me assure you, that was a duel between Master and Crusade. Master managed to win out the speed boost war. He put LH Cloudy behind the shield of fusions in their...
Alright, now there's 5 ults against 3. So should probably go with Grav plus Tire or Grav plus Moira or Grav plus Diva, but only use 2, because if you use more than 2 you're gonna lose the ult advantage really quickly because they have time. So we have Grav and they actually used Moira ult to try to keep their team alive. But yeah, that's, if you watched all the way when I started this analysis, what the hell, can't talk anymore. When I started the Nepal analyzing what Team Gigantti struggled on is when they used Grav. I'm gonna write, I like to draw. So when they used Grav, RCK did a tiny mistake once, and his Diva bomb exploded like in front of the Grav, and the enemy team Reinhardt had really easy job just blocking it. Like, there was no like challenge whatsoever. So this time the bomb explodes right in the Grav, and it's pretty self-evident what happens. So the Grav comes. The Diva bomb is perfect this time, and they're dead.
Coalescence still marching on, but Team Gigantti, they're marching stronger. Happy Cool goes for a quick reset. They got a minute and 40 seconds left, leg day.
Okay, they got 1.5 minutes left. That means 2 long fights, maybe 3 short fights. And now the ult economy is, it's starting to even up, because you use 2 ults to win that fight. So now it's gonna be hard. So actually what I see is that Team Gigantti used their tire. So now again you gotta create space for the tire, and you need to like create chaos, because good teams will just wreck the tire. Okay, so the tire is coming from high ground. They're trying to create chaos, but British Hurricane actually does a great job. They fall back all the way to the next corner. Like, I don't think they're gonna get any value out of the tire. Yeah.
I wonder if he meleeed it right at the end. We'll have to wait and see. Craggy still has that graviton.
Okay, I see what's happening here. Yeah, Cloudy fucks up there. This is really, I've done, I know this fucking up because I've done it myself. Like, let's a little bit forward. I know this from my own experience, from the very same spot. I've done this. This is very important. Like, look at this. Reinhardt, when you're defending this place, you need to be defending this side of this place. Like, this is the place you want to defend when you're playing Reinhardt. Which means that if you want to defend this corner, you need to be positioned here. You need to stay in here. Like, this is the place you want to stay. If you fall back here, if you go anywhere to this like direction, the enemy Ryan is just gonna come with speed boost and come to the shorter, like the very shortest route against this wall, and he's gonna shatter, he's gonna blam and stun everybody here. If you don't stick to your guns and defend this corner, but instead you go here, your team is dead. Like, that's a fact. I've done it myself. I fucked this up and I've died here. Their Cloudy plays it up, like Cloudy plays it a little bit soft, and they get a free pass. Okay, they actually like use a lot of ults there. So they use Shatter, they use Grab, and they use Diva Bomb. And yeah, they really commit to this fight, which is smart considering that this is a really strong choke. And they're actually running out of time. So once they decided to use the Shatter, they gotta go all the way. They gotta commit to the call. If they use ults, they gotta use like all the ults to win the fight, because if you lose this, then you've done, you've used your Shatter and you lost the fight, then you're without a Shatter, and that could have cost the whole match. So they're really committed to this. It works out. It's super hard to regain the payload at this point. Okay, they used Tire somewhere in the background.
It's going to be a defensive line for his team, but here comes the storm of Gigantti.
Neil actually finds the Tire, but Diva died. Where did the Diva die? Okay, so Diva RCK flies to the payload. Cloudy gets... I think that was a pretty weak Shatter, but considering to the circumstances, it's super hard to get value out of a Shatter anymore. But that was a little bit... I think that was badly played. Like, you had 2 very strong ults, and you even had Ripa's what is it called? Coalescence or whatever. So what you should have done is you should have entered with Coalescence, and then you should have grabbed them against this wall like Devin did, And then you should have probably just tried to charge the Reinhardt out and slammed. Or just run inside this freaking crab and slam. Like now, they used barrier. I think the slam only gets like... Like slam only gets like diva. Yeah, that. It only gets diva and then a sound barrier. So no value out of that. Then they grab... Imagine if there was a diva bomb, or if there was a rip tire, or if there was a slam, or... There was just no follow-up. You need to combine things. Grab isn't enough. And tire gets nothing. Like, they had the ults to pull this off. They could have won the map, but they lacked the discipline and the sure, the fight is intense, and you're like, yeah, we need to get to the point, we need to get to the point, and you're just yelling in the comms, and diva died, and like it's super hard. I know there's not much time to think, but you gotta have discipline to combine ults. Now it was like Cloudy pops his slam because he was like, this is the last time to use it, then use grab, and then the tire doesn't connect, and those ults could have won if they were combined. And then they C9. But British Hurricane is playing really well. I gotta hand it to them.